All right, friends, we're going to start lying on our back today in Supta Baddha Konasana. So come to sit down with the soles of your feet together, your knees apart. If you'd like to place a pair of blocks underneath each knee or thigh for a little bit of support, you can also do this with rolled up blankets or pillows. Whatever you've got nearby, do so. And then start to walk your hands back, recline all the way down onto your back. And rest your hands in whatever way is comfortable. Could be out to the side with palms up. Could be resting your hands somewhere on the torso with palms down. Let the eyes soften or close. Let the body land. Arrive in this moment exactly as you are, trusting that this is exactly where you meant to be. And then invite a slow but deep breath in through the nose. Let it out of the mouth with an exhale or a sigh. And now start to find a steady, rhythmic breath here in and out of the nose. And as you start to find this steady breath, see if you can bring a little bit of your awareness downward, down into the low belly, the low back, the pelvis, the hips, and the legs. And as we'll be doing a good amount of focus on the hips today, our focus is downward, grounding through the lower part of the body. So start to send the breath and the attention downward, breathing into the belly and the hips. And oftentimes when we're experiencing pain in parts of the body, such as the knees or the low back, it's often, but not always, related to the hips. And the hips are this big part of the body that support us. Every time we stand up or sit down, we're using the hips. So today's focus is on just bringing a little bit more love to this part of the body. Lubricating the joints. Waking up the muscles, bringing a little bit of more warmth and love to this part of the body that's constantly supporting us. Take one more breath in. And then as you exhale, bring your hands to the outside of your knees or thighs. Use your hands to draw your legs together. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And then with your hands around your shins, you're going to start to circle out the knees a little bit, or circling out the thighs. The heads of the femurs, which are connected into the hip socket. And then the next time that you bring your knees into the center of your chest, pause and switch directions. And it could be however fast or slow that you like, could be however big or small that you like. And then draw your knees into your chest, either roll to one side or rock up. And let's come to a tabletop position on hands and knees. Stack your shoulders right over your wrists, stack your hips right over your knees, and just take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. As you inhale, draw the heart forward and up. As you exhale, round the spine. Notice how when you inhale, when you arch your spine, a lot of the movement comes from the hips. The tailbone curls up towards the ceiling, you're in a back bend. When you exhale and round your spine, also feel the movement of the pelvis tipping backwards, which creates a tone in the belly. Take one or two more full rounds on your own. So as much as you can, just bringing the awareness to the hips, the lower part of the body. And now come through center. Lower your forearms to the mat with your elbows directly underneath your shoulders, no wider. And then extend the left leg back. Float your foot off the ground and pause. Spin the left outer hip down so all your toes, even the pinky toe, points down. Press down through the forearms, push the ground away from you so your shoulders are supporting you, and then lift the pubic bone up and in towards the navel so you're not in a back bend. And as much as you can, keep the hips and the low back stable. Take an inhale. Exhale, tap your left knee towards your left upper arm. It might touch, it might not, doesn't matter. Inhale, extend the left leg back. Exhale, tap your knee towards the left upper arm. Inhale, extend back. Notice if your right hip is swinging out to the side, firm it in. Exhale, bring the left knee in. Two more. Inhale, reach back. Try to keep the upper body steady. Exhale, draw it in. Last time, inhale, reach back. Exhale, tap. Inhale, extend the left leg back, and now bend the knee, and you're going to circle out the left leg, opening up the left hip a little bit. Again, don't worry about how big the circles are. Take it slow. Pause, switch directions. Try to firm the right hip towards the midline. And now lower that left knee down. Now you're going to roll all the way onto your right hip. Bring the right forearm parallel to the short edge of your mat. Bring your knees a little closer into your chest so your knees are stacked, shins parallel to the long edge of the mat, left hand to your hip. Now, rather than sinking into that right shoulder, push the ground away from you. Take a breath in here, and then as you exhale, lift the right hip off the floor, point your left knee up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lower, legs together. Exhale, lift up, open the left leg. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift the right hip as high as you can. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. One more time like that. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Now a little different this time. As you exhale, lift the right hip off the ground and then extend the left leg back. Inhale, knees together, lower the hips. Exhale, lift. Kick the left leg back. Exhale, lower, knees together. 3 more. Exhale, press down with your bottom arm. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Extend the left leg back. Inhale, lower. Let's do one more. Exhale, lift. Pause, lift the right hip off the ground, and now start to pulse the left leg up and down. Flex your toes towards your face for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Make your way back into a tabletop, but with the forearms down, elbows right underneath the shoulders. Reach the right leg back. Float the foot off the ground. Spin the right outer hip down as if you could rest a teacup on the low back. Lift the front ribs away from the floor so you're not in a back bend, and push down with your palms. Your forearms lift out of the shoulders. Take an inhale. Exhale, bring the right knee towards the right upper arm. It might touch, it might not, doesn't matter. Inhale, reach the right leg back. So trying to keep the rest of the body still. Exhale, tap the knee to the upper arm. Inhale, extend back. Keep pressing down through the forearms. Exhale, tap. Firm the left hip in. Inhale, go back. Exhale, tap. One more time, inhale. And exhale, tap. Inhale, extend the right leg back. Bend the knee, and now roll out the hip, making some circular motions through that right side. Keep pushing down into the forearms. Pause, come through center, and switch directions. Last breath in. Exhale, lower the right shin down, and now lay down onto the left hip. Bring the left forearm parallel to the short edge of the mat. Bring your knees a little closer into your chest so your shins are about parallel to the long edge of the mat. Bring the right hand to the hip. Press down with your bottom arm. Try not to sink into the shoulder. Take an inhale. As you exhale, lift the left hip off the ground and point the right knee up towards the ceiling, getting some external rotation. Inhale, lower the hip, knees together. Exhale, lift, point the right knee up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift, root down through the bottom forearm. Inhale, lower. Last 2. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift, point the right knee up. Inhale, lower. Now a little different. Exhale, lift the left hip and reach the right leg back. Inhale, lower, bring the knees together. Exhale, lift, extend the right leg back. Inhale, lower. Use the breath. Exhale, lift, extend back. Inhale, lower. Exhale, reach back. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, lift the left hip, kick the right leg back, flex the right toes towards your face, and now pulse the right leg up and down. Keep lifting the left hip, lift out of the left shoulder for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Make your way onto hands and knees, tabletop. Bring your big toes to touch, separate the knees, a little wider than hip width apart. Melt the hips towards the heels. Walk your hands forward. Child's pose. As you exhale, feel the hips, the pelvis ground towards the heels a bit more. And with every inhale, walk your hands a little further forward. Walk your hands so far forward that your elbows and forearms lift off the mat. So bringing so much energy to the arms. And then take a peek up at your hands and just make sure your hands are shoulder width apart with the wrist creases parallel to the top of the mat. And then relax the head for a moment. Press down through your index fingers and the thumbs. Keep doing that as you spin the inner arms up, wrap the outer arms in. And now keeping this distance between your hands and your feet, inhale, lift the hips. Bring your knees and feet hip width apart. Tuck your toes under. Press back, downward facing dog. Glance back at your feet. Make sure they're hip width apart with your inner heels hidden behind you. If you feel the low back rounding, bend your knees and then send the hips higher. Get longer from your fingers to your shoulders to your hips. Let the head hang freely between the upper arms. And now step your feet a little closer in. Inhale, raise the right leg up. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Try to lift the right inner knee to the sky as you squeeze the left hip back in space. Straighten the right leg. Square off the hips. Take a breath in. Exhale, bring the right knee in towards your nose. Lift it as high as you can and step the right foot forward. Drop the back knee to the mat. Keep the weight in the right heel. Inhale, sweep your arms up, low lunge, Anjaneyasana. For a moment, bring your hands to your hips. Root down through the front heel, lift the frontal hip bones up towards the front ribs. Descend the tailbone down and then keep the tailbone heavy. Bend the front knee more, let the hips come forward in space. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky. Take a full breath in, lift up and out of your legs. Exhale, empty your hands to the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift the back knee, keep the left hand down and reach the right arm up, twist to your right. Spin the right ribs back, the left ribs forward. And now from here, walk your right foot down the long edge of the mat. So walking the right foot towards the back foot, and then turn the right toes to the right. Come to the pinky side of your left foot, turn your left toes to the right, and now try to lift the bottom hip. Open the chest. Gaze could be down to the side or up, but make sure the back of the neck feels long. One more breath in. Bring your top hand down, turn your toes forward, come through center, and now crawl inside the right foot, turn your toes to the long edge of the mat. Rock forward, get hips over heels. Turn the left toes out to the left, bend the left knee, side lunge. Your knee is in line with the center of the foot. Maybe bring hands to heart center. Lower the hands, straighten the left leg, turn your toes forward. Right toes turn out, bend the right knee, side lunge. Hips back, heart forward. Maybe bring hands to heart center. Turn to frame the right foot at the top of the mat. Plant your hands. Take a breath in. Hands can be on blocks. And as you exhale, straighten the right leg. Find a long pyramid pose. Keep the back heel high. Inhale, rebend the front knee. Drop the hips, lift the heart. Exhale, straighten the leg. One more time. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten the right leg, and now stay. So make sure your hands are on something, blocks or the ground. You're not just dangling the arms in space. Press down through the right big toe mound and squeeze the right hip back and in towards the left heel, so two sides of the waist are equally long. Inhale, heart forward. Stay to exhale. Go ahead, rebend the front knee, plant your hands. Step to a plank pose. In your plank, reach the heart forward, push the heels back. Lift the pubic bone up and in towards the navel, so your pelvis tips backwards to create that tone in the belly. Heart forward, one more breath in. Exhale, slowly lower to the belly, pinning your elbows in. Once you land, point your toes, reach your arms back. Now, if you can comfortably interlace fingers behind the back, do so. Otherwise, palms down on the mat. Press down through the tops of your feet. Inhale, lift the head, the chest, the shoulders. If you interlace your fingers, reach your knuckles up and back. Drop the gaze slightly so the back of the neck is long. Press down through the tops of your feet and lift the kneecaps to engage the quadriceps. Keep rolling the shoulders away from the floor. Take another deep breath in, lift a little higher. And now keep your chest up, place your hands on the mat, stack your elbows over the wrists. Inhale, come to upward facing dog. If it makes sense to stay on your belly in baby cobra, do so. Take a full breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. As you inhale, raise the left leg up. Bend your knee, open up your hip. Try to lift the left inner knee to the sky as you squeeze the right hip back in space. And now straighten the leg, square off the hips. Take an inhale. Exhale, bring your knee in towards your chest, lift it as high as you can and step the foot forward. Toes in line with fingers, drop the back knee, come up to a low lunge. Bring your hands to your hips, just as we did on the other side. To really feel, can you take the bowl of your pelvis and tip it backwards? Lift the pubic bone up and in towards the navel. It's like you're zipping up a tight pair of jeans. That's going to start to open the front of the right hip, the hip flexor. And then reach the arms to the sky. Ground down through the left heel as you bend the front leg more and then lift up and out of your legs. One more breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift the back knee, twist, reach your left arm to the sky. Spin the left ribs back, the right ribs forward. Now from here, walk your left foot down the long edge of the mat towards the back of the mat. Turn the left toes to the left. Now come to the pinky side of your back foot, so all your toes face the left, and then can you lift the bottom hip, engage it. Open the chest. One more breath in. Top hand down, turn your toes forward. Crawl inside the left leg, turn your toes to the long edge of the mat. Rock forward, heart forward. Turn the right toes out, bend the right knee, side lunge. If you're ready to go deeper, maybe drop the hips, point the left toes to the ceiling, come to Skandasana. Maybe hands come to heart center. Right knee is in line with the center of the foot. And then hands down, come through center. Rotate the left toes out to the left first, and then bend the left knee, side lunge. Hips back, heart forward. If you'd like to go lower, do so, but never push the body. Never force yourself into a shape you're not ready for. Take a breath in. Plant your hands, turn to face the top of the mat. Come onto fingertips or grab your blocks. Take a breath in. Keep the back heel lifted. Exhale, straighten the front leg. Inhale, bend on the breath. Exhale, straighten. One more time. Inhale, bend the front knee, drop the hips, lift the heart. Exhale, straighten the front leg, and now stay. Press down through the balls of the feet. Squeeze the left hip back and in towards the right heel. Inhale the heart forward. Find a little more length in the spine. Stay as you exhale, soften into the pose as you ground through the feet. And then go ahead, rebend the front knee. Plant your hands. Step to a plank pose. Keep your hips low, chest forward. Catch your hips shoulder height. Make sure you're not sinking through the hips. Make sure you're not piking the hips. Lengthen the tailbone to the heels. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, slowly lower to the belly. Point your toes. If you interlace fingers, do so again, but with the opposite thumb on top. Otherwise, palms down. Same shape, just a little different. Press down through the tops of your feet. Inhale, lift the head, the chest, the shoulders, and reach your knuckles up and back if you interlace fingers. Spin your inner thighs up towards the ceiling. Do that as you firm the outer ankles in so the backs of your legs are neutral, square to the ceiling. Roll the heads of the shoulders away from the floor. Take another breath in. Keep your chest up. Place your hands down, stack your elbows over the wrists. Inhale, come to upward facing dog. Lift the thighs, take a deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a long breath in. Stay as you exhale, send the hips higher. One more inhale here. End of your exhale, step or hop your feet to your hands. At the top, reach the chest forward. Exhale, fold. Bring your feet a little wider than hip width apart. Turn your toes out. Bend your knees and come to your deep squat, meaning go as low as you can while keeping your heels, the entire foot on the ground. So maybe your squat's higher than mine. Maybe you're sitting up onto a couple of blocks or books. Doesn't really matter. Bring hands to heart center. But you want to get the weight back in the heels and the hips, not forward in the knees. And then drop the sitting bones towards the earth. Can you feel a lift in the low belly? Press your arms against your inner thighs and squeeze your outer arms with the inner thighs. Take one more breath in. Plant your hands, exhale, fold. Turn your toes forward. Bend your knees a little or a lot. You might grab elbows for ragdoll. Let the head drop towards the earth. Maybe a little sway left and right. And then release your elbows. Keep a soft bend in the knees as you roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Take your time. No need to rush. Once the chin lifts, inhale, reach your arms to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Rest your arms down by your sides. Come to your mountain pose. If you'd like to step your feet together with a little space between your heels, do so. Press your thigh bones back. Gently release the tailbone down and then roll the shoulders back. And as you inhale, reach your arms to the sky. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips, maybe a little bend in the knees. Inhale, reach the chest forward, slide the shoulders back. Plant your hands and step your left leg back. Come to a runner's lunge. Make sure you're heel to heel, not on a tightrope. Root down through the front heel, bend the front leg and squeeze the right hip back and in towards the left heel. And now keeping the gaze steady with your next inhale, come to a high lunge with the hands at the hips and draw the front leg straight. It's a bit of a balance, which is why you want a little wider of a foundation. Press into the right big toe mound and squeeze the right hip back. That'll help bring the left hip forward. And now can you straighten the back leg, push the left thigh straight back. Then take your pelvis and tip it backwards. Lift the pubic bone up towards the navel, descend the tailbone down. That's going to start to open the front of the left hip. And now keeping the back leg straight, the tailbone heavy, take an inhale. Exhale, bend the right knee, any amount. Inhale, slowly draw the front leg straight. Exhale, bend any amount, prioritize back leg straight, tailbone heavy. Inhale, straighten. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, bend the right knee and pause. Push the left thigh bone back. Lift the low belly up and in, and then inhale, sweep the arms to the sky. Soften the front ribs down and in. Take one more breath, maybe bend the front knee a little more. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step to your plank pose. Keep your feet about hip width apart. Spin your heels to the right. And then reach your left arm up. Now, many options. You could step your left foot in front of the right leg, just like we did earlier. You could stagger your feet or stack left foot on right foot. Either way, try to engage the right hip, lift it away from the floor. Take one more breath, lift up and out of the bottom shoulder. Bring your top hand down, come through center plank. Spin your heels to the left, reach the right arm up. So maybe you bend the right knee, step right foot in front of the bottom leg. Maybe you stagger feet or stack. Your choice, take what the body needs. Engage the left outer hip, lift it away from the floor. One more breath. Top hand down, come to plank, and then straight to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in, a cooling breath out. As you inhale, rock forward, come to a plank pose. Exhale, bring your right knee towards your right upper arm. Lift it as high as you can. Stay as you breathe in. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose, lift it as high as you can, and step the right foot forward. Get your toes in line with the fingers. Spin the back heel down. Your right heel bisects the back arch. Now bring your hand to a block, the outside of your right foot, or if you don't have a block, you can rest your right forearm on your thigh. And then bring your left hand to your left hip. So work towards making your front thigh parallel to the mat with your knee over the ankle. Press your knee against your right arm. If your hand is outside your foot, make sure the knee is over the second toe. Ground through your outer back foot, straighten the back leg. And now can you turn your chest to the left? Spin the top ribs back, the bottom ribs forward. And then inhale, raise the top arm up. Use your inhales to get longer from the crown of the head to the back heel. Your exhales to twist open. Top ribs spin back, bottom ribs forward. Stay for another breath, get planted through the feet. Use the strength of the legs, come all the way to stand, and for a moment, straighten the front leg. Feel how your left hip is a little higher than your right. To correct, firm the left hip into the midline, lift the right hip off the thigh. Take a breath in. Exhale, bend the right knee, warrior two. Inhale, straighten the leg. Keep firming the left hip in. Exhale, bend. One more time, inhale. Exhale, bend the right knee and pause. So work towards making the front thigh parallel to the mat with the knee over the ankle. Engage the left outer hip by firming it in towards the midline so you're not surfing over the front leg. Feel how when you stabilize the hips, the rest of the body just naturally aligns. You don't have to adjust the chest or shoulders. One more inhale. And now from here, straighten the right leg. Walk your back foot in a little bit. Keep the back toe slightly angled forward so your pelvis is rotated to the right a little bit. Notice we're not trying to square the hips. That's to protect the knees and the low back. Spread the arms out wide. Reach the right arm out and up. Place your right hand on the block, right outside the foot. And I always need to bring the block a little higher for triangle because it requires more length in the hamstrings. If you don't have a block, just rest your hand against the shin. Press into the right big toe mound, squeeze the right hip back and in towards the left heel. We want to try to make two sides of the waist equally long. Spin your top ribs back, bottom ribs forward. And then every inhale, get longer from the crown of the head to the hips. Every exhale, twist open a little more. One more breath. Get planted through the feet. Use the strength of your legs, come all the way to stand. Firm your left outer hip in, bend the right knee, warrior two. Flip your front palm tip up and back, reverse the warrior. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lower your hands to the mat. Come to the ball of the back foot and now step your left foot forward. Reach the chest forward at the top. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand, raise the arms up. Exhale, arms by the sides, Tadasana. One more side. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips. Inhale, chest forward. Plant your hands, step the right leg back. Hands can be on blocks anytime. I like to widen the stance about an inch so I'm not on a tightrope. Squeeze this left hip back and in towards the right heel. And then with your next inhale, keep the gaze steady. Slowly come up to a high lunge, hands at hips and the front leg straight. So it's a lot going on, I know. Try to keep the gaze steady. Press into the left big toe mound. Squeeze the left hip back. That'll bring the right hip forward. Now one, can you straighten the back leg? Push the right thigh back. But then lift your frontal hip bones up. Lengthen the tailbone down so the pelvis tips backwards. Take a breath in, keep the back leg straight, tailbone heavy. Exhale, bend the left knee any amount. It doesn't matter how much. Inhale, straighten. Maybe you bend 1 inch. Exhale, bend. One more time, inhale. Exhale, bend and pause. Root down through the front heel as you drop the head of the front thigh. Push the right thigh bone back and then lengthen the tailbone down. Inhale, raise the arms, but soften the front ribs in. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step to your plank, shoulders over the wrist. And now spin your heels to the left. Reach the right arm up, side plank. Any variation, you could step right foot in front of the bottom leg, stagger or stack feet. Lift the bottom hip. Lift the low belly up and in, think plank pose. One more inhale. Top hand down, come to plank. Spin your heels to the right. Reach the left arm up. Any variation, but think plank. Lift the low belly. Send your chest forward, away from the hips. One more breath. Top hand down, come to plank. Straight to downward facing dog. As you inhale, rock forward, plank pose. Exhale, bring your left knee to your left upper arm. Stay as you breathe in. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose and step your foot forward. Get toes in line with fingers, spin the back heel down. Bring your left hand to a block to the outside of your left heel. Make sure your front heel bisects the back arch. Right hand to your hip, or if you don't have a block, left forearm to the thigh, palm up. So work towards making your front thigh parallel to the mat. It's probably a longer stance than you think. Left knee over the ankle in line with the second toe. Notice if your back knee is bowing forward, push the right thigh back. Then reach the right arm up. And with your inhales, get longer from the crown of your head to your back heel. With your exhales, twist open. Spin the top ribs back, bottom ribs forward. Press that front knee against your arm. Stay for another breath. Get rooted through your feet. Use the strength of your legs. Come all the way to stand. Straighten the front leg for a moment. Engage the right outer hip. Firm it in. Take an inhale here. Exhale, bend the front knee, warrior two. Inhale, straighten the leg. Keep firming the right hip in. Exhale, bend. One last time, inhale. Exhale, bend and pause. Left thigh parallel to the mat. Left knee over the ankle in line with the second toe. And anchor through your back heel as you push the right thigh back. Feel that lift in the low belly. Soften the eyes. Stay for another breath. You got this. One more inhale. Exhale, draw the front leg straight. Adjust the back foot in a little bit, back to a slightly angled forward. So notice you're rotating the hip slightly to the left foot, but turn your chest to the long edge of the mat. Reach your left arm out and up. Left hand comes to your block just outside your heel or lightly against the shin. And what we're looking for in triangle is that we're not sinking through the left side body. So, bring your left hand a little higher. We don't have to bring our hand to the floor. Won't make your life better, I promise. But can you lengthen the left side of the body? Squeeze the left hip back and in towards the right heel. Push the thigh bone back. Use your inhales to get longer from the crown of your head to your hips. Your exhales to twist open. One more breath. Get rooted through your feet. Use the strength of your legs. Come all the way up. Firm the back hip in. Take an inhale. Exhale, warrior two, last time. Flip the front palm, reverse the warrior, deep breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, come to the ball of the back foot and step your right foot forward. Bring your feet a little wider than hip width apart, turn your toes out, heels in. Let's find one more squat. Bend the knees, drop the sitting bones. Maybe your squat's higher than mine, maybe it's lower, maybe you're sitting on blocks. I don't know, make it work for you. But notice how this squat feels compared to the first one. Wiggle around a little bit, trying to snuggle your arms inside your legs. And then find some stillness. Drop the sitting bones, drop the weight into the heels. Lengthen the spine, lift up and out of the low back. Breathe. How does this feel? Any subtle differences? Do you feel more spacious? Do you feel more supported through the legs? And then from here, bring your hands behind you and sit down. Bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. Cross the right ankle past the left knee. Get the bony part of the ankle past the knee, flex the toes. And now, as much as you can, rather than rounding the spine, rock the pelvis forward, get on top of the sit bones. Press the right thigh forward. If you're in a good spot, feel free to stay steady. If you would like to deepen the hip opener, then walk your hands a little bit closer in. Maybe try to lift your hips and then scooch forward a little bit. But really prioritize the length in your spine. If shortening the position that you're in just caused you to round the low back, you're actually not getting as much of a stretch as you could if, say, you just took a longer stance and really lengthened the spine. So start to bring the attention back inward. That was a lot of standing work, which can bring the energy up, but now drop the attention down into the hips. And then go ahead, place the right foot down, extend the legs forward, reach the arms forward, curl the fingers in and roll out the wrist in one direction. And then switch, go the other direction. And now bring your hands behind you, bend your knees, plant your feet. Cross the left ankle past the right knee. Get the bony part of the ankle past the knee, flex the toes. And then can you press the base of the spine forward and in, almost like you're arching your spine. Think like a back bend. And if it helps to walk the right foot forward, if that helps you get more on top of the sit bones, then do so. Maybe you want to deepen the hip opener, you walk your hands in, or lift the hips and scooch forward a tiny bit. Each side of the body is a little bit different. So notice how this side feels. Can you keep the length in your spine? Flex the left toes. Relax the jaw. Take another breath in. And exhale, release, extend the legs out in front of you. Now from here, you'll come to Upavishta Konasana. So I'm going to turn to face the long edge of your mat. Feel free to do so that your heels are on the mat rather than the floor, especially if you're on tile or a wooden floor. Bring your hands by your sides and try to get your heels on the same line. Sometimes one foot is further up than the other. And then flex your toes towards your face so that your shins, your knees, your thighs point up. They don't turn out or in. With your hands behind you, press into the ground, and then can you get on top of your sit bones? Oftentimes the tendency is to round back. That's when there's tightness in the hamstrings or tightness in the hips, which then pull on the low back. So try your best to rock the pelvis forward. If that feels impossible, you probably need to sit up onto a block or a couple of blankets. If you're a more mobile body and you tend to flare the front ribs out, then draw the front ribs in towards the back body. And now breathe. And this might be enough. Maybe stay upright, especially if this is, a lot, just to keep the length in the spine. If you would like to walk the hands forward and then fold forward any amount, do so. Think about tilting forward rather than rounding forward. And maybe walk the hands forward an inch. Maybe a little more. Every body is different. Maybe you lower onto forearms. Think about getting the belly button to the floor before the chest. And then breathe. Keep flexing your toes straight back. Notice if the toes have turned out or in. Try to point them straight up. The longer you hold the pose, oftentimes it can start to feel more intense. But I find that if you try to stop gripping, fighting against the stretch, then all of a sudden a sense of release can come in. Take a deep breath in. Just soften a little more as you exhale. Do that again. Deep breath in. Soften as you exhale. Another breath in like that. Stay as you exhale. And then slowly walk your hands back in. If you came forward, use your hands to draw your legs together. And then find a comfortable seat. Maybe it's sitting up onto a block or a blanket. And rest your hands on your thighs. And then take a moment to rock side to side a little bit. And try to get even on your sit bones. Try to find a seat where your chest is over the hips. You're not rounding the low back, but the spine is long. Roll the shoulders back, lower the chin to the chest, and then let the eyes soften or close. And notice how this seat feels after doing a good amount of hip opening and strengthening, and simply bringing awareness to the hips and the pelvis, this part of the body that holds us up and does so much for us. Just notice how it feels to sit here. Is there a little more ease? With your next breath in, bring your palms together in front of the heart. Stay to exhale, bringing gratitude towards ourselves, towards each other, and towards this practice. And if you would like to lay down from here, take a Shavasana. I encourage you to pause this video and do so. Thank you for practicing today. Namaste.